Here we go. All right. Hey, I'm Sherry Truler with Red Apple Auctions, and I'm filming this a few days early because I'm going to be in San Diego when you receive this. I've got the National Auctioneers Association conference and show is there. So I'm going to head up to Massachusetts, do an auction, and then I'm going to directly fly to San Diego from there. So I'm shooting this a few days early. There's an idea that I'm not sure everybody has seen. Is it an idea or it's a new technology? I guess I should say more technology that not everybody's seen. And I want you to be aware of it, especially if you're thinking about choosing software. Maybe you're ready for a new auction software vendor. There's over 40 different auction software platforms out there right now. Lots of choices, lots of price points available to you. So here's an idea that you might want to incorporate into your event. I'll share it and then you can call around to find out who does this, because I don't think everybody does, quite a few, but not everybody. And it has to do with these QR codes. What is the difference between a QRS and a QR code? I need to Google that because I really don't know. This is a QR code, and this is 32auctions.com. This is who the client used. And in this case, this was for, I'll read it to you. Scan the QR code to participate in the online silent auction. All right, so it would take you to the online silent auction area. In fact, you would have to register first. So if you have a situation where maybe you are asking people to register, but they don't necessarily give their credit card, or they blow right past the registration desk. That happens at some large events where there's multiple ways people can access the facility. So suddenly they find themselves in the silent auction reception area and they aren't registered. I've talked to people like that before. They'll ask a question like, well, how do we know where we're going to be seated later tonight? What table? I'm like, well, where's your program? What program? Did you register? Oh, no, we came in through the back way. I'm like, oh boy. Okay. So here's an example of what could happen. You could put that QR code on the silent auction table, as this group did. And so if you've got somebody now who's not registered or didn't give a credit card, now they're at the silent auction table, they see something they want to bid on, they have to register. So they go and they use that QR code in order to get into a registration page where they can put in their information. So that's a good way to use it. Now, a little bit later in the program, they had another one, a little smaller one over here. And this one was used for the fund and eats, so people could go make a donation. Now, we did not direct people to use that, didn't use it at all in the program, like when I'm up in front of people and talking to them. This is just something that people could do on their own time. They could scan that and then go to make a direct donation. Another concept, this was a group up in the Northeast, and inside their program, they had this front and back, which has their live auction items. And see how every one has a different QR code? So they could scan that, and then the guests could get more information about that item. Now, a caveat here. It's always better to make it easier for guests to spend money than harder. So if you have a display on the table and the display is all the information the guest needs, that's going to be better than making people jump through hoops to spend money. So if you just say, hey, our live auction, we're going to sell them later, but you can go into your software, your smartphone and read about it. Well, first, maybe people didn't bring a phone that night. Maybe it's dead and they don't want to figure out where to go charge it. We used to see that a lot, by the way. That was an underwriting opportunity for a lot of people, is to underwrite the charging stations in the silent auction. I haven't seen that recently. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it was there, kind of a flash in the pan, and now I haven't seen it so much. But, you know, people show up, their cell phone's not working. How are they going to get information if you don't have a display? So I always think it's better to just have a nice display. It's kind of like if you and I went out to dinner and we're talking, and then suddenly you start texting me and we're sitting across from one another. I'm like, why are you texting me? We're right here. Let's talk. Well, the same is kind of true, I think, with the display. Maybe it's a bad analogy, but I'm like, you're right there. Let's let the people get the information from the display. Don't make them find their cell phone and then figure out where their camera app is. I mean, not everybody is great with their phone, you know, and so then they got to, oh, how does this work? Oh, I got to scan. How does this work? Just easier to read about it right there. But it is nice for like videos and some things that maybe you don't have the capacity to put on a table. You could direct people in that way. That's a good way to do it. They use, did I say this? They use schoolauction.net. So this was schoolauction.net. The other one was 32 Auctions. Again, other companies do this as well. So you can find out if your chosen software vendor does it and ask about other features that might be available or tied to this. It is a good way to get people registered. I think it's a good way to direct people. Also in the silent auction, I've seen that happen before. I don't think I've seen anyone where every silent auction item has a QR code, but I have seen like QR codes directing people to the online silent auction that way, and that works well too. All right, for additional information, redappleauctions.com is where you can get information. I'll put some of this below as well. And then you can support the YouTube channel simply by liking the video if you found it helpful, or subscribing, whatever works for you. When you subscribe and you hit the bell, then you'll be notified when I post new videos. As always, good luck to you as you plan your fundraising event.